Yo, what is going on, guys? And I just want to say quick cheers for the Batman's fucking release this weekend. Before we get into like the nitty gritty, I want to say, guys, spoiler alert. I'll say it again right before we get into it, but I just want to talk about, man, it feels like a long road to get here between the pandemic and the Batman film that didn't even have Matt Reeves involved before this. And now we're finally here. We are finally here, and it's insane. It's definitely not the movie I thought any of us were going to get, even after watching that trailer back at DC Fandom in 2020. Wow, this is a 3 hour long movie, and there's a lot to talk about in here, people. But before we get into it, I want to say one more time, spoiler alert for anyone who has not seen this movie, or you know what? Fuck it at this point. Spoiler alert, you guys have been warned. Let's get right into it. I want to get off with some general first impressions for this film because personally, I've seen this twice. I actually saw it yesterday afternoon, and then I went again this morning because I wanted to see it one more time before this live stream. And honestly, I'm glad I did because the first time I was sitting at an 8.5 rating, but after that second viewing, I've went down a little bit. I'm not going to say what yet. I want to save that for the end, but it kind of hurt rewatching this because I really felt the runtime this time. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that always shows that there's some room for improvement when it comes to the editing and pacing of the film. I feel like a lot of movies have this problem, and this isn't just a Batman thing, especially when you run it 3 hours long. Avengers Endgame sort of has the same problem, but overall, I thought Pattinson fucking killed it as the titular character as Batman. We'll get more into the Bruce Wayne stuff later. I have some thoughts about that, but overall, I thought he killed it as the Batman. And man, this is one of the most brutal Batmans we've gotten, especially for a PG-13 rating. And I'm really glad that Warner Brothers let Matt Reeves kind of go to that bordering the edge of what's R, what's PG-13. Because if you add a little bit of blood to this and a few more curse words, like a few more fucks, this could have been an easy R-rated movie because they like doing that to Zack Snyder's movies and his DC films for whatever reason. But yeah, a lot to talk about. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, phenomenal. And my God, I know the Penguin wasn't in this film a lot, but Colin Farrell was great as the Penguin.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot to talk about. I don't want to talk about it all just by myself. Let's go down the list. What's going on, Deebs? I know you've been waiting for this film for a while. You're the first one to see it out of all five of us. And I know you've been waiting to talk about this one for a hot minute now. So, bro, what are your reactions on this movie?
I literally canceled the Sixers game tonight just because I know this is going to be a long fucking show and there's so much to talk about. But real quick, I loved every single second of this film. That opening intro was pure fucking cinema. It gave us like our first impression of what, how the world of Gotham truly views Batman. When you see, how shaken up the criminals are, looking behind every single corner of every single shadow and expecting Batman to be there. That was just an amazing moment. This first 20, 30 minutes of this film is absolutely perfect. I like that we started in year two and we see Batman kind of already established. He's still learning, and we're going to be talking a lot about that tonight. It's an origin movie without covering the same ground that we've seen so many times before, and that kind of speaks volumes in that scene where you see Robert Pattinson's Batman stare at that boy who just lost his father and now orphan. And, it just that single scene alone speaks so many volumes. It speaks 1,000 words. It was done so well. It truly, there's so much to talk about here, but in the end, it starts at the foundation, and that is Matt Reeves. He absolutely crushed it, giving us just this amazing, coherent film. And there's just the way he handled the visual storytelling of this movie is incredible. This is not only one of my favorite Batman movies of all time, this will go down as one of my favorite movies of all time. That's how high I am on this. This is the movie I've been waiting for my entire life.
When it comes to the opening first 20 minutes, I think Matt Reeves does a perfect job at setting up this universe, the villain, and the Batman himself, and his reputation throughout Gotham by setting up this super gothic, but also kind of updated version of the Tim Burton verse. We got that super gothic tone, but then you got the super brightness of the LEDs from, like, let's say Blade Runner or something I've got in my room right now. And it's a really good mix of character within its own city. And I think Matt Reeves really explores that well. And something I found really interesting, kind of just like tickled my filmmaking pickle, I guess you can say, is when you're introduced to the Riddler kind of stalking the mayor's family in the very opening scene, when Jim Gordon explains how they think it all unfolded, it's in the exact order of events that you see him cut to. From coming in from the skylight, you see a skylight shot right before you go into the apartment. And it's those little type of things that I feel like the filmmakers and all of us can really appreciate, other than just the visual style that's really different from every other Batman film, I'd say. But Loretto, my man, how are you doing? How are you feeling? You feeling crunky? Your nipples a little tight after seeing this movie?
Good evening, all. Immediately, like, first impression, hyperbole, hype, and excitement. Walking out the theater, I was like, yeah! But second watch, I did kind of notice spots that, not that I wasn't fond of, but I just feel like things could have been more tight. Things could have been condensed a little bit. I don't think it earned its 3-hour runtime, in my opinion. I think it lingers on a lot of spots that it probably could have sped things up a little bit. I think the first 30 to 40 minutes is fantastic cinema. And I also appreciate that we as a group, and actually, you know what? Hold up. Pump the brakes. We as a group, we have one of our original suit up geeks here. We are fully assembled. Suit up geeks assembled. So I just want to celebrate that. This is awesome. Glad to see you, AJ.
It's good to be back a little bit. Just a little bit.
But yeah, going back to the topic. Also, what's up to Wesley, who's watching this from work? Sorry to keep you busy from work.
No, it's fine. We're entertaining him. Work's boring as fuck, obviously.
First 30, 40 minutes, we went into this watching Chinatown Taxi Driver, and that's where my mind went. We got the voiceover, the narration 100% reminded me of like Travis Bickle, but not as like off the rails, but edgy, broken man that wants to clean up the city, but he's like, he's obviously like torn apart by what happened to him. And I think that was very interesting to see, but it kind of lingers on for pretty much the rest of the film. And he never, even when he's Bruce Wayne, he never fully takes off the cowl. Like, he is Batman every second of this picture. What's up, Dad?
Did you see Batman as Travis Bickle, or did you see Edward as Travis Bickle? Because I was more Edward on my end.
No. I just meant the narration style.
Oh, okay.
And also it felt like Batman was writing in a journal, the same way that De Niro was writing in his journal in his film. It was just a stylistic choice with the voiceover, I thought. Amanda, you look like you want to say something.
No, I kind of want to answer Gabe, but you finish your thoughts, Loretto.
Okay, just first impressions though. I really, really, really loved it. I don't think it's the best Batman picture. I think if this film would have came out 10 years ago, or no, maybe 15 years ago, and it came out before The Dark Knight, I would have been like, this is the best Batman ever. But going into a full Nolan rewatch into this, it almost set my expectations almost too high. And it's not fair because this is a really good film, whether or not it's Batman and whether or not, like, as a film on its own, it's a perfectly fine film. It's just, I think my expectations were too high, and it kind of, it left me more at like a 4.5 versus a 5 stars, if that makes sense. So
it's fair.
4.5 down from a 5. Okay, Loretto, you're being nice, I see today. For someone who sounded super disappointed, that's very high. But you know what? What's going on, AJ? How you feeling about the Batman?
Wait, before I go, let Amanda answer Gabe's question.
I was waiting for her to jump in, but
no, I didn't want to like interrupt, but I'm gonna say I understand. Relax. I want to give everyone ample time to say their thoughts. For this one, I think that with Falcone is that he needed to have that conversation with Bruce 100%. I don't think it undercuts anything. I think that he had to like tell his version of the truth to cover his ass. So I don't necessarily think that was a bad thing. And then I just think it made that scene with Andy Serkis with Alfred just that more powerful, to be honest, to be emotionally connected to both of them, and about the legacy of the Waynes. So I don't really think it undercut that whatsoever. So
also, let's keep in mind the true essence of Falcone. He's a liar. He's a thief.
He's a mobster.
He's a mob boss, basically.
Yeah,
so he will hide the truth a little bit. He'll tell the truth, but he'll put in lies to make the truth more believable. So when Bruce came back to Alfred, he understood where Thomas was coming
from. Like a writing standpoint, it seems very weird to tell the audience that it's this character that we've never met, even within that mob family. For 3 hours, we're told about the Maroney family, but we're never shown them. And I think that's where it kind of, I don't want to say like took me the wrong way, but just made me sit down and was just like, I don't know how this is really a twist when you never introduce any of these people. I don't know how people sit here and just, I don't know how Batman believes him instantly. He just takes his word for it, which kind of bothered me for a man who just seems super skeptical about everybody. So he kind of just like, you know what? I'm just going to believe the one guy in the city I probably shouldn't believe.
This is year 2 Batman.
I didn't see that as that, though. I saw it where I did believe that he did believe him a little bit, but not fully. That's why he went back to Alfred. That's why I believe he went back to Alfred to confront that truth, if it was true or not. So I don't believe that Bruce actually believed him fully.
But I think he believed them, but only confronted Alfred because he was mad with him and not because he wanted to find out the quote unquote truth.
It could be a little bit of both. I do believe that it is Batman we're talking about. So and throughout the whole movie, you see him not believing in anybody really until near the end. He doesn't believe in Selina a little bit. That's why he's been with Gordon for a year basically.
Still but he pretty much trusts Gordon throughout the movie. He never really questions him.
No, but he does have his suspicions. He doesn't. For me, he doesn't really have to question them verbally. You can just pull back his eyes, his acting, and all of that.
He said he did hold back. He said that was me going soft.
He did say he held back.
Yeah. So he has that connection with Gordon, though. Like that's important.
And Gordon
to know.
was willing to take the punch for him, and I think that's what really showed it. And
to be fair, Gordon did tell him to punch him. So
I agree, but I think that whole interaction of after he goes unconscious and they're in the interrogation room with all of them surrounding him, I feel like the entire time he knows exactly what he's thinking and he's just going along with it, even from when he pushes him up against the barrier wall. Because he is on year 2. There seemed to be no reason not to trust him or to make him seem like he would turn his back on him. Or at least I don't know why they would make it seem like Gordon would turn his back on him when we're only really just meeting Gordon 40 minutes ago, and we don't really have a good sense yet of what that first year was like for their relationship. Because if I'm being honest, they seem, I don't want to say close, but they seem close for Batman's relationship with anybody, if that makes sense.
Well, for me, I don't. It is a close relationship, but it's not a personal relationship yet. It's more of a professional relationship. We get we are told the backstory of like Gordon and what's the commissioner's name again? I can't remember the commissioner's name, but
it's fine. The movie forgot about.
I can't remember his name, but you hear their story on how Gordon trusts him a lot because of how their character interacted with the Maroney family and how they helped. In Gordon's case, he thought that they were busting him down, but in general, he wasn't. But for me, it's a tough situation because of how Gotham is created. You have people that's there that seem trustworthy, but at the same time, they're not really trustworthy. and that's where I get the sense for Batman is he's trying to be close to Gordon, but at the same time he wants to be close because he doesn't feel like he fully trusts him. You know that saying, keep your friends close but keep your enemies closer, basically. So that's the way I'm coming from.
What are your overall thoughts on the movie?
I loved it. Everything. I agree with Dibes on this one. Everything from the cinematography, the sound design was incredible, especially during that car, the Batmobile scene. That was just incredible for me. The action choreography. Always wanted a great action from Batman. Finally got it. Great detective story. There's a reason why we're all comparing this to Seven, basically. So it's. For me, it's not just a great Batman movie. It is a great movie in general. It doesn't have to be a perfect movie, but for me, it is a perfect movie. I'm just going to say it there. The runtime, 3 hours, or technically 2 hours and 40 minutes plus the credits.
It's 2:56 with everything at the end.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's still there. For me, I thought that the time was perfect for what Matt Reeves was trying to go for. Would I put in a little bit more information between the mystery between the Arkhams? Yes, I would. But we are getting the Arkham series for a reason, so there's that. So most of my criticisms are actually being are coming to light, basically. I wanted more of the Arkham backstory. We're going to get that. I want more backstory from the Underground. We're going to get that too with the Penguin series. So those are basically like the only criticisms I have with the movie, and they're going to expand on it within the future series and movies.
And what about you, Mando? What are your overall thoughts on this movie?
I obviously, Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, it was never sold from day one. He still didn't feel like Bruce Wayne to me, but here's the thing. This movie just felt really refreshing, unique, and different than what we would normally get for a Batman film. And I think that I grew tired of the whole Playboy persona because it's very repetitive and that's all they focused on. So in this case, I think I can kind of look past the fact that for me, Rob doesn't really look or feel like Bruce, but his performance as Batman, which is like 70 to 80% of the film, is brilliant. It's just so different, and we get that detective side of it, as we've been saying, and it's just really important to get that side of him, which I really enjoyed. So that opening, as Dives was saying, like it felt like a prologue. You hear him speaking, you get a sense of who Batman is from the shadows, all of that. Sound design, cinematography, Greg Fraser, you're a god. Like I was just sitting there in awe of certain things, like the technical aspects are great. That camera work is fantastic. You're sitting there and you're in the cowl. You're observing everything. And I think that's really sick that they made it kind of like interactive as well, like from the video games. And there's some aspects from the Telltale games, which I did play, which was a lot of fun. And I was just like making little notes of that. So overall, I think it's a very strong Batman film. It's really different. And that's what I can appreciate from Matt Reeves, Helio. But I do feel like structurally, it's not the best. The script is also not the strongest. It does kind of falter in the third act. I think that like last half hour could have been tacked on to a sequel instead of shoving it at the end of this. Or else like the rogues were great, as I said before, and like all of my reviews. The villains don't really overpower Bruce Wayne. They don't overpower Batman. They kind of work together in Gotham City. And I think that's just really important for the story they're trying to tell. So overall, I did enjoy it. I don't know if it's the best Batman for me yet. I have to watch it again and I have to watch The Dark Knight again. So that's where I'm sitting at.
I will say with the Bruce Wayne criticism, I would say that this is still. I feel like that Matt Reeves was trying to focus on Batman a little bit more than other Batman movies because of Batman's story arc. Bruce Wayne died in the alley. Batman is the true Bruce Wayne, or whatever you want to say, and I do believe that the reason why he chose to do what he's doing is because this is the first time where we as an audience are seeing Batman. God, we're seeing Batman in this light, basically, and he doesn't know what to do with this Bruce Wayne persona because he's not on that level yet. He's not that billionaire persona type of level. And we actually get a conversation with Bruce Wayne and Alfred talking about that. You need to keep up appearances, Alfred. That's what basically he's saying. And Bruce Wayne was like, no, I don't want to do that. So he just chose not to do it. And I like how they put that in the movie to help resolve a little bit of that criticism, which for me, I actually liked. And if we did get more Bruce Wayne, we wouldn't have as much as Batman as we get in this movie, which is, for me, is the best part of the movie. So, yeah.
So I want to say, before we get onto the Robert Pattinson debate between his Batman and his Bruce Wayne, because I know that's been a very divisive thing when it comes to people talking about this movie, but I want to bring up this plot hole theory that has been bugging me ever since I left the theater, and I want to get your opinions on it. That's why. So I think Catwoman's entire story arc revolves around a plot hole. So let's think about it, right? In the beginning, Batman goes to stalk Selena Kyle at her apartment to see what she does, right? And in that scene, you watch her turn into Catwoman, put on the suit, but you also see her talk to Anika and try to comfort her. And she's also talking to her on the phone on the way back from the club that Batman just came from, the Iceberg Lounge. So she was saying, Selena says at the mayor's apartment in Gotham how her friend Anika told her that he took her passport and put it in the vault within the mayor's place, right? And that's where Batman and Catwoman meet up. But later in the film, when Catwoman finds one of the dirty cops with the broken nose that they keep coming back with throughout the movie, and they're on that big skyline right where the bat signal goes out, she plays a voicemail that was left because Anika tried to call her when they went to capture her or kill her after Selena had left to go take the passport that was stolen, right? So in that voicemail, it's revealed that Falcone took the passport and also killed her. But how is that possible if she dies after the fact of Selena leaving to go take the passport that the mayor supposedly took to put in the vault? You guys see what I'm getting at here? So there's two different conflicting storylines. One's in the beginning, they tell you that she was kind of, I don't know how else to say, but like a side chick for the mayor at the Iceberg Club, and he took her passport. But then later on, they're saying that Falcone took her passport, but also killed her. But that doesn't work in context to the beginning of the story because we saw her, Anika, alive, and then Catwoman and Batman.
Hold on,
back.
wait.
wait.
Pause for a second. Slow
I
it
get
down.
what he's saying though, because I
slow
low-key
it down.
agree.
So what you're saying is the scene between. So first, let's go back to the beginning.
It's a lot, dude. I'm telling you.
Let's go back to the beginning. All right.
Okay.
Hey, Ryan. Ryan, I
scene-
love you, but Gabe just fucking, he said, no one knows what you're getting at.
Yeah.
I do, though.
Jesus.
I get it. No, I get it. Oh my god, no, I get it.
I'm telling you.
Okay, so the first thing we look at is Bruce Wayne stalking Selena.
Yes,
That's-
and Anika is there with her.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
But after the scene of her going to get the passport, the Catwoman scene with Batman's like, let's go have a conversation with her. They go back and they find her gone.
Yeah.
But later on, they tell you that Falcone killed her when she tried to kill her on the phone, when she tried to call her on the phone, and also took the passport. She says it in the lines.
Yeah,
Well,
Over the phone.
She was kidnapped first.
that's what
kidnapped
he's
her.
saying though. It doesn't line
But
up.
that's
I
my
get
point.
that.
He
Yeah.
took the passport, and she said that the mayor took the passport. And
well,
then
Falcone let the mayor take the passport. Yes.
they didn't say that though.
Yes, they did.
No, when?
It was during the interrogation scene. It was during where shit, what was that part?
Was it
Where
the rooftop?
Selena was about to drop the
Yeah. The
narc,
rooftop.
basically.
The rooftop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if you say so. I didn't hear it, and I swear to God I paid attention this time.
I was also low-key confused during that scene, saying that like she had her phone open recording him.
But
And
no,
like
she wasn't recording it. She was calling Selena at the time before the kidnapping. And
yeah, I was just confused with that.
it went
Yeah.
straight to voicemail, and that's how it was recorded. It wasn't actually like a video recording. It was a voicemail.
nah, I take it as no, it was a voicemail, but I take it as she tried to call her as they were intruding.
That's what I took it as well.
That's
and I was
what it-
really
that's what it
confused in that
sounds like.
scene.
Of course, she tried to call her as she was intruding because there wasn't supposed to be anybody there. So she called the first person she knew. They knocked down the door. They tried to kidnap her, and that's what happened.
I guess where the disconnect is, I didn't hear him say that he gave the passport to the mayor because Catwoman says earlier that Anika told her that the mayor took it.
Yeah, the mayor did take it.
I know, but that's my point. In the voicemail, Falcone says he takes it.
No, he said he lets the mayor take it.
I mean, this is a really minor detail that
No,
like,
I know.
I'm just saying. I know you. Trust me, Ryan. I know you. That like I get it. Like I understand. Trust me. I'm with you on that. That it was confusing. Trust. I'm just saying. Like
Deeps has something to say. I'm curious.
No, I don't. I want to move on, and I
No,
think-
no, yeah.
Fine.
Let's move on to like what we thought about. I'm just gonna say I think it's pretty divisive when we talk about Pattinson's Batman and Bruce Wayne because I know some of us really like both versions, but some of us only like one over the other. And personally, I'm kind of in the boat where I really liked his Batman, but I don't want to say I disliked his Bruce Wayne because we didn't see enough. So I'll say I don't know how I feel about it still. But the thing that concerns me about that is because they put so little Bruce Wayne in this. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to build the arc of him becoming like the Bruce Wayne we know, being more confident in the Bruce Wayne persona, being the billionaire playboy philanthropist. But it worries me because in the second movie, they're probably going to delegate more time to the Bruce Wayne character than the Batman character because I would say they spent around 80% of this runtime in the Batman dedicated to Batman. And the other 20% is everything that doesn't involve Batman or includes just Bruce Wayne. And that it's more of a concern for the future rather than I would say an actual problem is where
I see where you're going. Okay, here's a hot take. Bruce Wayne wasn't in this movie at all. It was all straight Batman.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I see that.
He did take off his mask, but he was still acting as Batman. Even so, when he takes off his mask, he's with Alfred. All he's focusing on is the riddles, the mystery, all of that. That's all he's doing. And the funeral scene, all he's doing is trying to figure out what's going on. He's listening to the cops, basically. That's all he's doing. He's trying to get information. Then all that other drama starts to happen between the cops. So for me, there was no Bruce Wayne at all from this movie. So
yeah, no, I absolutely agree with like what Leo said. It didn't kill it, but I think it took us by surprise because I don't think really any of us were really expecting it at all. But I'm not against the approach that Matt is trying to take. I just want to see more of it, which just leaves me more curious, but also kind of cautious at the same time. Because who knows like what this type of Bruce Wayne will turn out to be. Sorry, Amanda.
No. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that like I agree. It didn't hurt it for me. For me, it's just like it's a look, and I don't want to say that like the only one that really looks like Bruce Wayne to me is Ben Affleck. Like he can just stand there, and I'm sorry, but he looked like it's an older Bruce, and I get that. Like, don't get me wrong, they're very different. You can't compare them. I 100% get it. So for me, with Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, like I didn't even care that there wasn't enough Bruce in here because his portrayal as Batman is like freaking god tier. It's just so good. And like he's running away from Bruce Wayne. He doesn't want to be that person. That's the way I interpreted it, right? So it's all about him as Batman, and he's broken, obviously. So he's trying to navigate what he's meant to do. What's his purpose in Gotham City? And I think it was just really awesome that they did that. I really hope Robert Pattinson grows into this role because I would love to see how it turns out. But yeah, I really think the emotional connection there was to Batman instead of Bruce Wayne. And I think that's also important. And again, it's different. It's something we haven't seen before. And like, that's why it just vibes with me. Hey, Joe.
The only thing that I don't want to say turned me off, but like kind of rubbed me the wrong way was I get what they were trying to go for with there's no real distinction between Batman and Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne is Batman. That's who he is. Even the Riddler says it. When you put on that mask, that's who you truly are. I get what they were going for, but in context of people just trying to figure out who this guy is, he doesn't make it very hard between having no chin strap, using the same voice, and they even mention him being completely buried from the rest of the world. I don't know how no one even considers him. And I don't know. That's just a nitpick with like a lot of CBMs in general when it comes to like no chin straps. I've said the same in like some television stuff too. That's unless they don't really care about their identity.
I feel it's more of like, I feel like it's more of like an experience at that point because he's like such an early Bruce that he doesn't even think of doing that. You know what I mean? To like hide that much because he's literally just Batman in that case. I don't think it's like even clicking. You know what I mean? I don't think it's more like the director's choice, but yeah, Dave, sorry.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm in the minority. I thought Pattinson's Bruce was awesome. And I know I'm probably definitely among the few here, but you know, you look at this guy, this is a man who's still a boy. He's still, you know, going through the ramifications of being an orphan and being alone. He's just this like petulant, sad kid who only knows how to use his fists, and until he almost loses Alfred, and you see him like completely like come out of his shell a little bit and finally reach out for help, which was an amazing scene.
That's why I liked it, by the way.
It was awesome. And going back just to kind of touch on what you guys were talking about, this is year 2 Batman, just like you said, Amanda. I loved that we saw Batman make mistakes. Batman's not perfect. He's not a perfect hero. He just started. You saw that. And I love how vulnerable he was, and that reflects on kind of Bruce Wayne's character a little bit. But when he kind of got the L and the La mixed up, that was great, man. I really enjoyed that element of Batman where he's not this like flawless character. You know, I love how they were able to kind of humanize this not only Batman but Bruce Wayne, period. And I think the biggest thing that people that are against this, what they're missing is that Batman at its core is a tragedy. Bruce Wayne's character, especially at his age, should be wrecked, should be fucked up emotionally, psychologically. Like, come on, guys, what are we talking about here? The dude is literally depressed. He's got anxiety through the wazoo. And that's the vibe I got with Pattinson's Batman, and that's the true essence of Batman. If he wasn't, that means Gotham is free of crime, and there's really no movie here. So I thought Pattinson in the Batman suit looked terrific, just like you guys said. I would put him third behind Bale and Keaton at the moment, but I think he definitely has potential to be the best Batman ever. And yeah. I think the point of Batman and that like traumatized look of Bruce Wayne was crushed. Batman is a tragedy. And sorry, he's not. For me, this is my Batman. That he's not like this like amazing looking guy like dating models. Like I connected more. I related more to this Batman working in the mental health field way more than any of the other Batman characters.
So I gotta say, while I really did like his Batman, progressively throughout the film, I felt less and less worried for him. It felt like he got more and more plot armor as the film went on, to a point where he talks about, I don't care if I die, Alfred. I'm like, bro, you can't die. You took a fucking face plant to a bridge. You took a shotgun to the chest, and you walk off 50 fucking machine gun bullets to every single point of your body at one point. And I think that's where the disconnect is they're trying to go for this grounded take, but at the end of the day, all it takes is fixing a few things in pre-production to change out a bridge for something else. Like, I don't know.
That's the whole point, Ryan. The whole point of Batman, his superpower is the will. It is his willpower to go beyond.
The face plants into the bridge zone. He goes like back.
I agree. Come on, we're talking about a comic book movie in the end here, right?
No,
Yes.
I don't disagree, but like that's my point. It's as simple as changing something in pre-production to not make it a bridge. It's those little things that just takes the realism out of it. And
I thought this movie was as real as ever. You see Batman helping ordinary people for the first time on live screen ever. Like, this was the most humanized Batman we've ever gotten.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Let's keep in mind that realism in a comic book movie is different from realism.
No,
from
but
us.
it should be grounded in real when you say that's what you're going for.
But it is grounded in realism.
But it isn't when you take a face plant or a bomb to the face with no mark.
So you think
I agree though.
Batman literally takes a bomb to the face. He takes
that
a bomb
I agree.
to the face.
Because I agree with that because like even like I remember it, like it just like clean cut, like it's clean. He doesn't have any scrapes or anything like that. He's not damaged when like a blow to like that happens. And like I understand that. I get what he's saying.
Scars on his body?
I'm not saying those were there before. Don't mix up what we're saying. I'm saying in that case with the bomb specifically, you don't really see anything on him. And I understand what he's saying with that because you have to have that connect.
I feel like that's where the disconnect is because everything previous to the third act, he goes headfirst into a bridge. He takes a bomb to the face. He goes through a hallway worth of machine guns being blasted into his chest. And then at the end of the day, it's a shotgun blast to the chest, one singular shotgun blast that almost takes him out to the point where he has to inject himself with like Bane semen or some shit. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's what it took you? I'm like, bro, you took a bridge to the face and a bomb to the face and machine guns to your entire body, and one shotgun blast to the chest is literally what caused it.
Low key, I also think that it's the PG-13 rating that held it back to show that as well. Like there was violence in this movie, but to actually show like, the blood and stuff, like.
But the guy's
I get what you're saying, right?
He's looking at the DA with the timer going down with 4 seconds. The bomb is as big as his fucking torso, and he just stands there. Like, I agree with Deebs. I like that he's making mistakes, but like, homie walks it off like it's nothing. He wakes up in the fucking police station saying, by the way, I also don't know why no one just took his mask off. He was knocked out. That seemed very odd that they all decided to do it once he was awake, but you know what? That's just them developing the plot at that point. That's where my disconnect with like this Batman and what would actually kill him, because by the time he gets to him doing the sacrifice moment and cutting the power cable and dropping into the water, I'm like, he's not going to die. I absolutely, it was a cool and powerful moment because of what it meant for Gotham, but it wasn't cool and empowering for what it meant to Batman as a whole. I feel
it's the consequences that don't add up. That's it. It's like that's what doesn't add up afterwards.
But I agree with that. I think he's a great Batman.
Yeah,
I think he's a great Batman.
Matt, I love the second half of that comment, fam. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
What about you, Lo?
What about you, Lo? Where?
Yeah, Lo. What about you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what? What are we talking about? Robert Pattinson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, look. I mean, a lot of what you guys said, it resonates, and my thing is, I totally understand that the approach to this story was that the Batman, it's all Batman, and he's broken, he's depressed. I totally get that, but personally, and I think thematically, and even realistically, there's got to be a semblance of a person in there. For example, what I thought was really powerful in the beginning, and they lost its way with it. You guys remember when he looked at the mayor's kid and it was like he was looking at himself practically? I thought thematically that was incredible. And then at the funeral, you know, he just does the same thing. He just looks at him broodingly And I get it. Look, I get it. Like Robert Pattinson is really good at being depressed and brooding, but for having him brooding for damn near 3 hours, it got a little. It just kind of dug me into the ground in the sense that
that's what Batman
I
does.
need to see a little bit of brood.
hours.
Hold on, hey, real quick, guys, real quick. In my opinion, like story-wise, even if he just said something to the kid like, "Hey, you know, you're gonna be all right," like one line or like one like, you know, he put his hand on his shoulder like, "You're gonna be all right, son." Or
but
something.
he's
like,
Batman, bro. He doesn't say shit. He just broods. Oh my god.
No, I know, but what
You
I'm
don't
saying is the
understand
fact
the
that he didn't
character,
say anything to the
Loretto.
kid at that moment.
But-
I mean, he saves him, but I think I needed a little bit of like levity there. And then also, I'm gonna let you go, Dobbs, but like to me, Alfred is such a pinnacle like he's a pillar of Bruce's and Batman's character. I felt like Andy Serkis was really like underutilized here, and I also feel like I get it. He's like Bruce is sad, whatever, but I just don't like the disconnect with him and Alfred. Like they're supposed to be a team. If anything, he's more fucking buddy with Gordon than he is with Alfred, and that really bothered me. And I don't like the fact that he got all like sassy with him, like, "You're not my father." It's like, dude, like. It just that kind of took me out of it. And the only time he gave a shit about Alfred was until he was halfway blown to hell. And I maybe story-wise that was important for him to notice that. But I just feel like there was such a disconnect with their characters that like when Alfred did damn near get blown to hell, I almost didn't care because Alfred's barely in the movie. And I think that if they wanted to make us care about that moment, they needed to write Alfred in better, in my opinion. So that's my biggest gripe with the Bruce Wayne Pattinson and honestly a lot of lack of Alfred, in my opinion.
Amanda, before we get,
hold on, I have to.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
I was gonna answer too, so go ahead.
Like, for me, this is about a Bruce Wayne that's in this slow process of recovering from depression. He's recovering from that isolated state, man. This is how I saw it. Like he's taking these baby steps to recovery that he's literally trying to find something worth living for. Yeah, he's got Alfred. He finally learns that maybe Selina could be it down the line. And I think it's that, and knowing that his efforts can make a positive impact, not just on Gotham, but building connections with others. Like that's the mindset, that emotional state that I saw this Bruce Wayne for me. Like he's clearly like literally ground zero. He is still so messed up that we are taking, in the sequel, we're going to address that more and more and more. That's how I took that.
Also, but actually, can I ask you, Dibes, like, did the lack of Alfred not bother you?
Yeah, so when we get to weaknesses, that will...
Okay, I was going to say, Alfred is not in this movie. Like, that killed me.
I do have to... Sorry, right? I just have to touch upon a point that Loretto said. I do think the reason why he's closer to Gordon is because he just loses himself in Batman. And obviously that's like a weakness that Alfred's not in it, but I do think that that's where the focus was while he was trying to struggle and like through his depression. So he kind of had that as an outlet because obviously Alfred knows him as Bruce Wayne, like he practically raised him. So he doesn't want anything to do with that. And then I understood the emotional like connection there when he almost lost Alfred. It kind of pulled him back and grounded him. So Alfred's kind of like that anchor for him in reality. So he doesn't really get lost in Batman. And that's how I took that. But I get what you're saying.
Before we move on, I just want to touch about this comment. Actually, at the end of the movie, the mayor actually hesitates to take his hand. And it's the boy from the beginning, the mayor's son, who takes his hand and starts the continuation of following Batman through the water. So that
Ryan, all the more though, I feel like they should have had a dialogue. Like I said, like
like
he should have said something to the kid.
Encounters in the beginning, at the funeral, and at the end, and no words are said between.
But I do think Bruce respects the hell out of Gordon way more than Alfred because he sees Gordon as trying to do something. He sees him as like one of the few that are actually trying to make Gotham better, and I think actions speak louder than words. I think Bruce is truly not in a place until that scene to actually open himself up to Alfred. And I think that's all part of it.
I think it's funny because your criticism on that part, Loretto, is probably one of my positives. The reason why he didn't talk to the boy is because he's so damaged. He doesn't believe that he has the words to say to him because I just feel like that's one of the reasons why he didn't. Now, along the lines where we're all talking about, yeah, he should definitely say something to someone that's gone through what he's gone through. But for right now, he's still healing. Psychologically, he is still healing. And that's one of the things that I like that there was a lack of for Alfred as well. He's trying to disconnect to something so familiar to what died a long time ago with his parents. He doesn't want that connection. He wants something far from that. That's why he's putting his life on the job more so than relationships. That's why he doesn't want to become Bruce Wayne anymore. So for me, that's a positive. But I do understand where you're coming from with that.
Can I ask you guys though? And this is another reason why I think, like, pace wise, I think it suffered and it hurts, like, especially casual fans. Like, all of us are nerds, all of us are geeks, and we care about this, right? But imagine like casual fans that just to see a broken Bruce Wayne for 3 hours or whatever. I mean, that's not the exact time, but I'm just saying for all of the casual fans that are suffering with him for 3 hours, don't you guys think like it probably would have serviced the story better to just condense it down a little bit?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but my dad is a casual. He loves the movie. He wants to go see it again. He asked me if he wanted to go see it again today. So
my dad was the opposite. My dad said it was.
See, that's why. That's why I said I can't.
No, I know.
So
it's funny you mentioned that because I saw it with my dad and he said, "Wow, that was boring." And I'm like, honestly, I get it, but it's kind of weird. I get it, but also it's the same thing that I've been looking for Batman, but also it's not exactly what I wanted. I feel like the way I kind of was hoping we get Bruce Wayne out of this is we had a Bruce Wayne Batman that acted the way Bruce Wayne does in this movie, but he knows how to flip a switch and turn into Bruce Wayne when he needs to be. But we still get that dark and gritty because
he wants something like
Deebs, that's my problem. I get that and I get what they're trying to do, but they showed so little of Bruce Wayne in this movie that there's going to be a point in the second or third movie where they dedicate at least more than half of the storyline to Bruce Wayne so we can get a better, clear picture. And ultimately, that's what I'm nervous about. I hope we don't get that, which is why I hope we got a little bit more in this. It's not a complaint. It's just like more of a, I hope it doesn't turn out to be like this.
So here's a question. Well, would you appreciate this movie more so if the future movies focused on Bruce Wayne a little bit more so?
Like, for example, I would have liked it a little bit more if when they went to the funeral for the mayor, he mentions how he's only going because he wants to see if the Riddler shows up, which is a good reason to go, but he acts like Batman at that entire thing. And I get what they're trying to go for, but I want to see a Batman who can switch on a dime to seem completely different and associate. But like that's the thing.
This is a Batman that's in a completely fragile state, man.
That's the problem. I totally get that. I just don't want them to call a Batman film in the future, but have it primarily focus on Bruce Wayne.
I think in the future, after this one specifically, they need to have a balance. They need to have a balance right out of the gate for the sequel. There needs to be some sort of growth and balance from the first one in order for us to actually connect with him. And that will happen. It's not like it won't happen. It has to happen, especially with the connection that he has with Alfred by the end of this. And there's growth by the end of this. Him carrying the kid, the last shot, all of that, hopeful, looking up to the sky. He's going to make that connection. Yeah. And have that distinction in the second one. He has to. It's like any good sequel. If it's going to be better, that means you have to focus on the Bruce Wayne persona. And they're going to do that and have him come out from the shadows. Huh? I see that. In that case, so I think like that'll happen in a positive way. I got to make you guys smile, man. We're not all sitting here rooting.
Batman is a tragedy. There's no winning in Batman. Everybody loses. Batman loses every single. Like The Dark Knight is a great movie. Yeah, he won. He still became the villain at the end of the movie. Like, Batman is a tragedy. And I look at this. It's so interesting hearing you guys say that because I took this. You look at Batman and his reluctance to kind of open himself up to Selina. Like, he is so much in a fragile state, in a traumatized state, that he has no trust for anybody. Even Alfred Other than Gordon, yeah, I'll give you Gordon. But that's pretty much it. Like his circle of trust is Gordon, and that's it. And I've connected with that big time, absolutely big time. So I disagree with a lot. I actually think Bruce grew a lot, especially by the end of this movie, learning that he is going to become a beacon of hope. That there can be more than just vengeance. There could be more than just pain and physical brutality and vengeance. I actually completely disagree with a lot of these things.
Man, I definitely didn't get that.
I like this.
I
like it.
No, it's glad that you said that, Deeps, because like that's what I wanted from this, and it's weird how this works. That you get a totally different thing from what I do, and I think that's what the great thing is. But I want to talk about something that might have been one of the best things, but also one of the most disappointing things about this movie, and I want to say that's the Riddler. I loved everything about the Riddler in this movie, but ultimately,
Times, come back.
Keep going, Ryan.
I did not think that'd be the stinger. My only issue is it revolves around him killing these political leaders that get sold to Falcone. Falcone's the real mayor of Gotham for the past 20 years. But
because he manipulates people and pays them off and they're corrupted.
I totally forgot where I was going, bro.
That's okay. I saved you right there because that's
the Riddler. No. So I feel like the second act devoted too much time to focusing on who the rat is, where that's really what the second act is. The first act is introducing the Riddler. The second act is figuring out who the rat is to figure out who the Riddler is. And then the third act, you barely even get Riddler. He gets captured. He has this great scene in the prison. And then it turns into, oh, wait, I'm just going to bomb these city seawalls that we never really got introduced to up until, oh, wait, he needs to do something destructive to be considered a high tier villain. Because up until that moment, they never mentioned it, only in the very beginning when the mayor was watching his back and forth with the chick who did win the mayoral candidate because he died. They mentioned it like, oh, the seawall this, but that's about it. They never mentioned the seawall ever again.
Well, that's the point. Riddler is supposed to be like 5 steps ahead. You don't,
bro. I didn't even know there was a seawall though. Up until the second viewing.
In the beginning that they mentioned the
seawall.
I did.
I just told you I didn't notice that until the second viewing. They don't tell you throughout the entire movie about the seawall up until the Riddler needs to bomb it.
The beginning and the end. Everything else is connected to that.
Okay, I do think for the Riddler. Okay, I understand. I think in this case in particular, he is like the puppet master. Okay, in this movie, and I think that the script, if anyone's talking about anything in this movie, it's definitely not the script, which is clearly flawed, and we see that. Structurally, I don't like the setup, and that's because the Riddler is the one being the puppet master. He's technically leading Bruce. He's technically leading Batman. Oh my God. Yeah, alcohol. We're all drinking though, Gabriel. It's true.
I am.
We're all drinking
water.
But I'm saying that the Riddler leading them to Falcone, leading them to the Penguin, and introducing these characters was fine. It did lose its footing a bit, but I do think that it was like a slow reveal for how capable the Riddler is into like messing with everyone and having a hand in everyone's lives and knowing everyone. I think they set that up pretty well. I understand what you're saying with the third act. Personally, the third act for me is where it completely like falls apart. I'm sorry, but it's true. It doesn't really like stick it for me, but I do understand that the Riddler's all over the place and you kind of lose him at times. But I think focusing the rat was just to divert the attention, because at the end of this is a film noir. So if the script in a film noir isn't like polished to a T and doesn't have a good structure with the twist, then like that's how it's gonna falter, and like that's what happens in the third act. So I understand the Riddler disappointment. I get it. He's still great, Paul Dano.
It bothers me because Paul Dano is so fucking fantastic. I love every second. But when you think about it, this movie's 3 hours. You only physically see him in the suit in the very first scene. After that, he's either on the phone for two other murders, and then he gets arrested, and then he has the scene with Joker in the prison. And then the whole middle second act of this film really pins in on everything connecting back to Falcone. And I really think that at that point, they should have just made Falcone the villain. He's connected to Catwoman. He's connected to Oswald. He's connected to the police department, and he's connected to the Riddler.
Technically,
That's
he
the
is.
point of the movie.
But
That's the entire point of the movie is presenting Batman with these insurmountable odds, insurmountably the steep for him to tackle Gotham is so ridiculously ridiculous that even Catwoman, Selena Kyle, tells Robert Pattinson's Batman at the end, like, dude, you're not going to win this battle. Like, it's Falcone, it's the Riddler, and I disagree completely. Like the Riddler, I thought was so original. I thought the writing for the Riddler was fantastic.
No, I don't disagree. I love the Riddler.
Yeah, I love the fact that the Riddler won in this. He didn't get Bruce, but he basically got every single person on his list. He exposed the corruption. He flooded the city. On the opposite end, Batman was literally born out of Gotham's demise. That entire writing is amazing to me.
Can I ask you guys something?
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Especially,
no,
I need to hear what AJ thinks about this. It didn't feel like the Riddler to me, and I feel like they borrowed a lot from Hush, almost like even the look of the Riddler, and it just felt like, why the hell didn't they just do Hush? It didn't feel like the Riddler to me.
I would say it's not fully the Riddler. It is a mix between the two.
And
You get the Riddler that's very
No, and that kind of bothers me. Like,
But
if they were going to do that,
for
just
me, I
do
personally
Hush.
like
Hush
it
is a really
because-
good character. Like,
Yeah, but for me, I like it because it helps connect the Arkhams. It helps everything connect between each other. It helps the Arkhams. It helps the Maronis. It helps Falcone. Everything. It helps build this underground world, the mythology of the underground world, a lot more so, even more so than in the comics, to me at least.
but what I
is it-
mean is, like,
Wait.
it seems like the name the Riddler is attractive to people because they know who that is. But I feel
But-
like just to show us something new, they should have just went with a completely different direction.
Well,
there, in my
this
opinion.
this character on its own is still technically the Riddler. It just has hints.
I mean, yeah, he
It's
calls
not
himself
really-
the Riddler, man. So of course.
This movie is not about Batman outsmarting the Riddler. Just stop. That's not what it's about. At its core, the Batman is about Bruce and Batman letting go of his past and realizing that he needs to inspire hope to Gotham, not vengeance. That was the entire point of the Riddler as his plot device, in my opinion.
And I like that, Dibes. I like that hope that he gives the city, but I just feel like I said, Paul Dano's excellent. I just feel like it was very misleading to call him the Riddler. It just, like, worst case scenario, he could have just been anybody. Like, they could have just created a
I
villain
mean,
for this
that was
film.
the point of the
I
character.
mean-
He's basically anybody. He's an orphan.
They literally changed his fucking name for some reason, and they never even said it in the movie. His comic name is Edward Nygma, but they changed it to Edward Nashton. For
Yeah,
what
I get
fucking
that.
Why does
reason?
that matter?
I don't
Yeah,
understand.
No,
why.
I know, but
No, I
that's
was
my
hung up on
point.
that too.
But, like,
It doesn't make
it's
sense.
just
Why
a
change
small
it in the first
detail.
place, though?
It
Yeah,
made me feel like he's
Instead
a
of,
good person.
instead of instilling fear to criminals, the Riddler taught him that he needs to instill hope to the people. That is just, that's not a great device. I don't know what.
But and throughout this whole movie, he's never named the Riddler.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is, bro. I literally just
Everyone
watched it this
calls
morning.
him that.
They call him
The
the
Riddler.
Riddler.
Yeah, they call him the
says,
Riddler.
yes, I'm gonna find the Riddler. He calls him the
Yeah,
Riddler.
they
throughout
call him the
movie.
Riddler all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do 100%.
Yeah.
But James, I agree with you. Good. The idea concept is great, but I don't think the execution was perfect.
I'm not gonna lie. Did I want to see the Riddler in his like Riddler costume at the end? 100.
That's too cheesy.
100%.
I'm sorry, but that costume is way too cheesy.
Hey, man,
Absolutely
doesn't matter. We want to
I know,
see
but
I
it.
can't
As
get
good as
JK out of my
Catwoman
head
was,
with that
like,
thing. No, I
Catwoman
can't.
was just missing those amazing like red goggles, and that would have been like literally perfect. But I was waiting for the Riddler costume to drop,
So mad.
and I would have been through the like whatever the phrase is, like to the moon.
I
No,
want
in
to
my
ask you
opinion,
guys.
though, like the fact with him being suited and booted like that, like I feel like that's a part of his character almost, and I feel like you strip him down and put him in a fucking military jacket, like literally he could be anybody. Like that's what it felt like to me. It just felt like a like a nameless villain that just got put with the Riddler name because he was giving out ciphers. Like, dude, he's the fucking Zodiac killer. That's what it was. Like,
and this was like the first
inspiration was from.
This was the first tip when I realized that, like, you know, how, like, you know, Bruce and Edward didn't start out that different. They're both orphans, other than like, you know, poverty versus Bruce's family there. I thought that was really interesting. And that was the first part where I started to think we're going to start getting into Joker, because a big part of like Joker's theme is like how one bad day can change someone that's completely sane and throw them down a completely different universe as a bad guy versus a hero. So I definitely had those vibes. And I think that's where we're going. We're going to talk about that later. But for me, I thought the Riddler was terrific. That scene where he's in the diner and his head is on the ground and you see Batman walk in, and that smile that he gives to Batman is one of my favorite scenes of this movie. It was so good.
I want to point out a really subtle editing error that's been bothering me. I just want to put it out there.
When you told me, I was like,
it
okay.
really has no effect on anything. I just
got a long list.
He kills me. I swear to God. Like,
so technical Ryan. Here we go.
When they go into the Riddler's apartment, right? They find a photo of young Edward behind Bruce Wayne and his parents at the orphanage when they opened it. But if you go back earlier in the movie, when they showed the video clip from where that picture's taken, Edward's never actually behind them, but he is in the picture. It's a small editing thing. I realize it, but it annoys me so much when you notice a small little detail. Okay. It means nothing, by the way. But I do want to ask you guys something. How did you guys feel about the Catwoman twist of Falcone being her father? Do you guys think that really worked? Because for me, it kind of felt like very out of left field and really didn't add to any type of emotional impact, or didn't really add anything to the story for me. But I'm very curious to know what you guys think, because it felt very random. Like, oh, you're her son?
Really quick,
you're her daughter?
Really quick, Ryan, I agree with you. It felt like it came out of nowhere. I was like,
very
what?
random.
So it was very off-putting.
I agree, because I was confused because she said that she wanted to kill Falcone for Annika, and then afterwards she said she never had a connection with Falcone. He didn't know that it was his daughter and all of that, and it was just like confusing. And then she wanted to kill Falcone on behalf, like she said that this is for my mother, and I'm like, you're not there for her. So I was kind of confused as to why they even put that there in the first place, because they're, other than to get intel, like it just didn't make any sense to me to have that connection.
Also want to add on that she also what was I gonna say? I just lost it, bro.
I kind of liked it. I actually thought it was to me, like Batman and Catwoman felt like two like polarizing magnets. Like they're like coming together. I thought for me, they're thrown into Gotham, which is like just the world building of Gotham was terrific. It feels like this unbelievably corrupted city. And actually, that was the connective tissue that I thought brought back to Batman, especially Bruce Wayne, for me, and Falcone. So it worked for me, at least.
So the thing that I was going to say before, something that kind of bothers me is when she finally reveals that Falcone's her father by the bat signal. It's very insinuated within that conversation that he knows that she's his daughter, because she even hints at that he just let me go and let me get taken by the orphanage people or whoever the fuck. But then later he doesn't know who the fuck she is. So I don't really know where her problem is coming from. If he never knew who you were, then why are you mad that he never took you in? He never knew you were his daughter. And that kind of goes back to what Amanda said. She's there for Annika for one moment, she's there for her mom for another, but then she's also there for the money she says that he owes her. Yeah. So it all kind of gets diluted on what is she really there for, and what does Falcone actually know, because it's very differing on each side to me. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way there.
Oh, you want to? I can. Well, before all of that. She was there for one specific reason. For what?
No,
Yep,
I'm agreeing with Matt.
Yep, I
Continue.
agree with that.
You're good,
Yep, I
AJ.
agree
Don't
with
worry.
that.
Sorry.
But Selena was at the club before that, so I do think that she did have a specific reason before Annika and all of that, to be in that club.
Oh no, I don't disagree. But when she says that her reasons for this separate times with three separate different reasons, that's when you start getting confused. Because honestly, if we're
Well,
basing
there's
it
only
off
two
Cap,
reasons I thought. It was just
no, it
that
was
Falcon was
Annika, her mom, and the money. First, it was Annika, then it was the money, and then it was her mother when
the
she
mother.
finally
Okay,
had the
yeah,
gunpoint.
you're right,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's where I'm just like, man, so why are you really here? It starts making me question, like, who really knows what's really the situation here? Because I'm getting two separate stories from the same person. And
I
that's where
really
get lost.
enjoyed. I really enjoyed the Batman Year One Catwoman in this movie.
Oh,
I thought
agree.
that Zoe Kravitz killed this. This is probably my favorite part of the movie. To be honest, I thought Catwoman was the best, especially her dynamic with Robert Pattinson. Those scenes that she has are amazing. In fact, I would say that, you know, scrap Arkham Asylum series, give me a Catwoman movie or series, because that is she was so good in it. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I thought she was good. I thought she was.
Give me everything.
Give me Gotham City Sirens,
Wait,
fam.
can I-
Yeah, no,
that
we
guy-
can get rid of that
Here.
one. No, we're good
Like,
on that one.
I think that their chemistry was electric. Obviously, like,
It was so good.
you know, regardless of whether or not they actually banged on set, which was that stupid rumor that came out.
Dude, that's so funny.
I
There
believe
was
it.
like,
I believe it. I
Hey,
see
no,
it.
there
I
was-
don't know.
there was
blame him.
palpable chemistry, and I gotta admit, when Pattinson grabs her and just lunges her on the table, and then her legs are
Yes.
wrapped around him, I was like,
Yes.
no, like
Yeah.
what is about to happen right now? But
Don't you?
does anybody
you
else
get-
feel like she was undercooked?
Not at all. No, I thought she.
No.
I don't know. I thought she was actually one of the main characters of this movie.
I
I
just
agree.
felt like, okay, we see her break into that safe once, and then she does her little roundhouse kicks. But I don't feel like Catwoman was established, in my opinion.
And I
Maybe
kind of feel that way for all the characters because
She cracked one safe, and then
I
was,
mean,
I'm Catwoman, and it's like, where are
Loretto,
you?
you're kind of capturing a larger problem that I kind of have with this movie is we go through all these phases of where we want to get these characters, but Gordon doesn't move up in any rank. Batman's still not called Batman. He's gone from vengeance to hope. Catwoman's not Catwoman. Oz isn't the Penguin. No one seems like they progress internally.
They call him that though.
Who? Wait, call who?
They
what?
call him the Penguin,
Yeah,
don't
they
they?
call him the
say it
Penguin,
in the
though.
movie. They do call him the Penguin.
I only remember them calling him the Penguin once.
They call everybody. That doesn't mean
They
No,
did.
they didn't call her Catwoman. They did
No,
not call her
they
Catwoman,
didn't.
though.
He calls her Selena. Like that's the only thing that's
Yeah,
been said.
they never say
Yeah.
Catwoman.
No.
I know for a fact. And I think Riddler's the only one to call him Batman, other than there's one scene, the first scene with Alfred when he says to the Batman, like when he's reading the
Yeah.
2 sign on the note. That's the only other time someone calls him Batman. But like generally, he's only called Batman by the Riddler, which I thought it seemed natural for both of them to one become a commissioner because the commissioner died, and then he's been called the Batman throughout, and people are questioning it. Like the Batman, oh, he's called Vengeance. Catwoman calls him Batboy. Like, at least give someone something that they've been building up to. And if they do it in the beginning of the second one, I'd feel even more cheated to like just do it at the end of this one.
You wanted the moon. You wanted to like lasso the moon and bring it to you. You wanted this movie to be like 5-6 fucking hours. And like you wanted everything. You wanted
I want it to be 2:30, Deebs.
Otto. Sorry, doggo. I will say
I enjoyed Catwoman. I thought her dynamic with Robert Pattinson was great. I thought the way the story kind of like focused on those two, but they clearly like knew what they wanted from each other independently, and I just thought it flowed really well with the story for me, and that just naturally built their chemistry as the movie progressed. I thought Catwoman was one of the true highs of this film.
No,
I also-
absolutely agree.
Can I just add that I like that they put them as partners in this like in this movie. I feel like we never got that, and that they never really worked together as well as like in other films.
They don't really work together.
I have a question for Amanda. Would you rather have a Poison Ivy Harley Quinn movie? Wait, never mind. I take it back. I just
I'm like,
Damn it.
I'm going to derail this completely conversation. I take it back.
okay.
No, you gotta say it now.
No. I'm not going to.
I really love them together, and I just feel like they saw each other as equals in this, and yeah, I thought their chemistry was amazing. I just wanted to add to that because I really love the scene where they're in the
I
motorcycles.
agree with you, Amanda, but I feel like they didn't work together enough.
Also true. I mean, I could have had a whole movie of just the bat and the cat, and I would have been very satisfied. So like that, like I totally understand that.
I think that's the biggest detriment to it is it's trying to juggle too much. Because if I'm being honest, I'll just get into like my Penguin thoughts. Man, I really like their interpretation of the Penguin, but if you change him for any other character, it would have made no difference. He was literally only in this movie so they can set up his HBO Max show, and that's really what the last shot of him was of Catwoman talking about how multiple people are going to try and take that reign from Falcone, and it goes to an image of the Penguin. So,
hey Ryan, I agree with you. I think that the Penguin could have been anybody.
He could have, and like it sucks because it's a good version, and I'm curious to see what they do with him. But
AJ,
yeah, I don't know.
Wait, hold on. You guys say it could have been anybody.
It could have,
but
it's stressing me out.
So let's just say it was Joe Chill, basically. It could have been. That criticism is just. It could have been anybody. Okay.
The only thing that doesn't make him someone else is that final shot I just explained, because he is just Oz in this movie. They call him the Penguin once, but that's about it. He's just the henchman for Falcon.
What are your expectations? I want to know.
No, I'm not saying I want to know. I didn't have expectations.
Like there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of world building. Like I honestly want to know, especially from Ryan and Lo, like what were your expectations of this movie? You want the entire world of this thing.
No,
everything wrapped up with a bow and pretty fancy wrapping paper. What are we talking about here?
Wait, time out. Hey Ryan, let me answer that real quick.
Ooh.
No, let me answer that real quick. Look, this movie had me by the neck the second it started, okay? I was in it to win it. I was like, this is fucking great. But like it slowly like let off the gas, released my shirt, kind of like tucked my shirt back in and like patted me on the head. It lost its way in the middle, man. It didn't have to be 3 hours. It stuffed in all this stuff that it could have been condensed in a more simpler way. And like, if you're going to focus on this Hush/Riddler guy, focus on him. Why the hell are you going to put Colin Farrell as the Penguin in the background for what amounts to like 5 minutes of screen time? It's very distracting, if I'm being honest. And Zoe Kravitz is great. She's great. But you know what? Take the Penguin out, fucking cut like 20 minutes of this screen time and devote more of it to Zoe Kravitz, who I thought was really good.
Or even the Riddler, like one of the two, please, because I feel like
the Riddler had enough screen time. Is all I'm gonna say. Like,
I have a question.
Like it was a
I have a
lot
question
of
for Lo.
Amanda, what?
I have a question for Lo.
You guys want Frodo and Sam to get to like Mordor in Fellowship of the Ring? Like,
I want a more condensed story that doesn't leave me on where this characters are going to go or this and that. I like where it leaves us for the city of Gotham, but I don't like when they just try to lead you into another show with a character that ultimately doesn't do anything. Someone else could have been chased by Batman.
But we got who we got.
I don't disagree.
You're saying it could have been anybody, but we got what we got.
No, I don't disagree. But that's the point of film criticism: is the ifs, the what's, that's the whole thing.
Okay, but I do have a honest question for you, Ryan and Lo.
Oh God!
You guys say that it was too long of a runtime, but you also say that you wanted multiple other things. Well, my question. Hold on.
There's a lot of scenes that linger.
Hold
execution
on
right now. Okay.
My question is to you: what would you get rid of to help include those things that you wanted? That's my question.
I'd get rid of Cobblepot entirely.
Mhm.
You don't even have to require all of his film time to be to one person. You could split that up into between the Riddler and Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. There's a few scenes that I felt like just went on too long. For example, the very end when they're driving off, 2 frames could have been taken off of that. It's the small things.
This is a film noir. This is a film noir. You have players.
It is film noir. Why are we seeing 10 shots of them driving in a motorcycle?
The entire point of the Penguin was to think, oh, he did it. Oh, he did it.
Yeah.
Oh, he did it. And
I
that's
agree
the
with that.
point of a film noir.
But I never.
Like Chinatown. It's the same thing.
I want to get Loretta's.
I'm going to answer you, AJ, but can I speak to Wesley real quick? Because he said, oh, the setup for another film. No, you know what? Honestly, I was really excited.
It's not another film. It's another. It's a show that's just going to focus. I just want to say sorry.
No, but also, I mean, it was exciting to know that Matt Reeves wasn't connected to anything. And that's what was exciting. And it kind of irked me to think that, oh, hey, let's set up the next one. It's like, dude, just let this story be its own story. Like, I didn't need to see Joker and the Riddler in a cell together. Like, I didn't need that. Like, that was like 5 minutes right there. That was just like, why are we meeting this guy? Like, look, I know that Joker is the fucking, like, anti-hero of Batman forever in all time. But, dude, how many freaking Jokers do we need? I would love to see like more of his gallery that isn't the Joker, in my opinion.
And hold on, before we get to the Joker,
I mean, if we're gonna get a lot of Jokers, we don't need a lot of Batmans at that point.
You can't have them without each other. But
wait, hold on. Going back to AJ though, look. My only thing is it just felt unfocused. Like, look, if we're gonna do the detective thing, right? The detective thing, that's fantastic. Like the first 40 minutes, I was on board. He's using Selena as a with the camera, and he's like investigating. He's actually on the crime scene. Great. And then at some point, it slows down, and it just almost gets away from that. And I feel like if it's Batman as a detective, fantastic. That's what made me love this film. But it just loses its way in the middle. It didn't need to be as long as it was. Honestly, like if you watch 7 in less than 2 hours, you get a lot of what this movie was accomplishing in less than 2 hours. And that's all I'm really getting at, is that it could have been more focused. And there was a lot of stylistic, beautiful visuals. But at the end of the day, you don't need to be long for the sake of being long, in my opinion.
And before we move on to the Joker, I just want to end on to Loretto and what Wesley commented. It's a TV show that they're setting up for HBO Max, not a movie. And 2, it's not that they did it, it's the way they did it. If they teased the Penguin in like a cameo scene even, that would have been fine. I just felt like they dedicated way too much time for this character that ultimately doesn't do nothing for the story. And he's only just there to set up for another movie, which is fine, but don't dedicate. I don't know why Colin Farrell says he has like 5 minutes in this movie. He has like 15 at the very least, right?
And they're golden.
He does have a point to the movie, but
I'm just trying to be an ass.
He directs Batman.
He's just trying to be a red herring. He's a penguin with wings just because they mess up their Spanish.
That's not the only reason why. He's also meant to help world build the entire Batman lore.
I know. That's what Loretto is like.
That's not what I'm saying.
Loretto love world building as much as anyone.
You said that he had no other point of the movie, but
no, I'm trying to say he didn't have any other point. They dedicated too much time to him, is what I'm trying to get at. They could have. They can still have him in the movie, but they drew out his time. Ultimately, he could. I don't know why they also made him a secondary to Falcone. I like him much better as his. I like him much better as his own boss.
He's going to be.
That's how he's
going to be.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Listen. I think you guys say something.
They're just leading into my ultimate problem with I feel like the sequels is there's a lot of setup that no character fully went through in this film that they're gonna have to focus a lot on in the next film, and that's even with the Riddler character. Joker even says, "How about we team up, bro?" They're gonna do it. Sinister fucking six.
Wait.
The Batman.
Not Ken Worms yet. It's not worth it.
I want to hear what Amanda has to say.
I just want to say that, like, we have to remember, like, in previous Batman films, they used a lot of the same villains. So we're already going into it like we know these villains and their backstory and all of that. So with the Batman, this is a pure introduction to his rogues gallery that they chose to present in this film, and they tied it into a film noir. So I personally think that everyone's screen time was beneficial to what the story they were trying to tell with the Riddler, because again, it is a film noir, it's a detective film. So obviously, yeah, there are going to be red herrings. I completely get that. But if you're tying it into like other shows and all of that, that's something that, now listen, Warner Brothers has been listening to for the fans for a very long time. So they had to do what? Fan service. So they have to be like, we have to connect some shit to this universe. And that's the ultimate downfall, because they're trying to do something that Marvel's doing and they're trying to tie that in. So necessarily that's not Matt Reeves' fault, because he has to listen to the higher ups. So this was an introductory to his rogues gallery, which is perfectly fine. I completely understood. Listen, I loved Falcone. I freaking loved John Turturro in this role. And like, I want more of him. Sadly, we're not going to get more of him unless there's a prequel. But I think that having the Penguin as his right hand to grow into it is something that's going to be beneficial for Gotham and getting to know the Gotham Underground and all of that. So for me personally, the way that they had to do this to also cater to fans and to cater to Warner Brothers, this is the only way that it could have worked out. Could have been tighter, 100%. Could they have edited this to at least 2 hours, 2:15 max? I think they could have done it. But this is what we have to work with now. And like, the criticism is valid on all cases. I just think that the introductory to this character is important to know, because that's what this was from the beginning. Sorry.
Can I speak to that really quick? No, Amanda, that was really, no, you made a lot of good points, but could I just speak to that? Like,
yeah,
if we would have got less Oswald and more Falcone, I think I'd feel a lot better about this story.
I get that.
See, I feel the opposite there.
John Turturro was excellent.
Yeah.
He was excellent, but
yeah,
he wasn't the villain of the movie.
He was barely in the movie.
That's the point of it.
That's
That's the point. Is you're supposed to be guessing.
But, see, that's my
You're
point.
supposed to be not knowing who is.
Dedicate more time to the
what
Riddler.
strings. Who is the red herring? Who is the what the?
It was obvious who the
bird
red
that can
herring
fly.
was.
Like that's
I
the
didn't think it was a
entire
mystery.
point.
That's my problem.
I
don't
low-key
think it was a
Falcone,
mystery.
but I also think that Falcone was a villain, because we all kind of know like who killed Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne. So for me, it was like, that's also important for Bruce's backstory.
Also,
to
it's
kind of
literally in
know
the
that.
writing.
I know, but that's
and
important to
with-
Bruce.
he's trying to
It's
find-
important to Bruce, not to Batman, and like that's why it was there and was present, I think.
I think with them killing Falcone off, and with Falcone, didn't he also kill Anika?
Yeah.
So it's
He
like,
got
I just feel
somebody
like they
else
could've-
to kill
I don't know. They
Anika,
could have
yeah.
spent more time on him. He's
He's
barely in the movie. He's in the movie for like 5 minutes.
God bless John Turturro.
No, he was
Literally.
great.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
I'm out of wine. This is not good. Okay, Jesus.
I know, but
No!
let's get to the Joker stuff, because I'll say I don't want to say I was unhappy with it, but like, it didn't excite me. I'm with you, Loretto. I'm kind of tired of Joker. I mean, we're getting a Joker sequel. We got Joker last year with Jared Leto. We got Joker in 2019 with Joaquin Phoenix. We got Joker in 2016. Like, bro, that's only the live action. Don't even talk about the animated. I feel like the character is not even just overplayed to the point where you just kind of expect him in the movies now. And I don't want that. I feel like
about Batman, but okay.
I mean, he's the titular bro. He's the titular role, though.
But
No,
you
hey,
complain
Ari,
about how
Ryan,
many
if they would
times
have
he's
introduced him like
appeared,
2
but-
movies from now, I'd have been like, yay! But like,
But like, bro, he had no
Come
point
on,
in this movie.
let your universe
Absolutely no
live
point.
before you bring
It's
in the
called
Joker,
planting
man.
the
Like,
seed. They planted the seed.
There
and
you go.
honestly,
There
Put
you
it in
I
the post-credit scene,
no,
though.
right.
That could have easily been a
respect
post-credit
it.
scene.
I respect you, right? You have no idea, and I respect your opinion. Okay. But for me, I did not expect Barry Keoghan's voice to hit like it did when I heard him whatsoever.
No, it
And
hits, but it's unoriginal as fuck.
I don't think so. This is a different Joker. It's a
They're
different
all
Joker.
different Jokers if you
Okay,
look
hold
at
on,
it.
wait,
Jared
wait.
Leto was sure shit as
Hey,
a
wait,
But
wait,
it's
right,
a
right.
younger, I don't know. It's a younger
Okay,
Joker.
Amanda, I
It's
hear you,
really
but I want to
reminding
ask.
me
I
of
want to
Telltale.
ask Dibes. You love this film, right? Yeah, this is the best Batman. This is the best film for you, right?
Mhm.
Don't you think this film should have stood on its own legs? Like, did it need to tease the Joker? Like,
No, it didn't.
Been fine without it. Am I right?
First of all, I'll answer. It does stand on its own legs.
It
I
does.
thought this is one of the best Batman movies ever. I think it got Bruce Wayne and Batman more than any other live action Batman. Sorry, Zack Snyder. He had zero clue what Gotham was or is, and Matt Reeves completely understood Gotham and the Batman dynamic. But for me, Joker was definitely a little. It felt like Spider-Man in Civil War. Like it was definitely a cash grab. It definitely should not have been in this movie whatsoever. You did not need it. But that being said, I am excited to see that Arkham video game Joker be stripped right out into the live action screen. That's going to be terrific. That's going to be a lot of fun. For me, I was not expecting it at all. I hope this is not the direction the sequels go in. I am pro Joker being around in the background and like kind of also being that puppet master with manipulating the Riddler and all that kind of stuff. But there are so many villains that we're going to be talking about later that need their time in the limelight. So I fully agree, Loretto. But this 2-minute scene does not downgrade this movie whatsoever.
Like 30 seconds
at all.
It feels like a very post-credit scene too, because this is also the last time we see Riddler. I don't know. It feels very post-credit scene-ish.
Yeah,
that was just up towards the end.
They didn't know how
it's
to end
longer than you
it.
think, bro. Like, dude, the slow zoom in on their cell, and then he just
It was at least 2 to 3 minutes.
It's longer than you think, dude. It's like almost 2.5 minutes. Like
they didn't know how to end this movie. There were multiple endings, and I was just like, okay, is it gonna end now? Is it gonna end now? And like, I feel like one of them could have been the post-credit scene.
It should have ended with him helping. The people.
Yes, that final shot when he's looking up, I think that would have been a perfect
that
ending,
was the shot. And look, I thought that the motorcycle was going one way and another way was here.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
But they could have placed it differently and flashed back to that shot, because that shot when they pull up from him and he's all dirty, like that was the shot. That was the end of the movie for me. Like,
yeah, I love that.
All right, here's a question for you guys then. If it did end with Batman and Selena parting ways, and the end credit scene was showing Riddler and Joker and Gotham, and Arkham, would that have been fine?
I said it should be a post-credit scene, but like everything after Batman looking up all dirty from the helicopter, it should have just ended. Everything after that really isn't needed, in my opinion. But like everything after that scene and making the Joker part a post-credit would have infinitely just made it better by cutting off like another 5 minutes at least, maybe 10.
Yeah, honestly, AJ, I probably would have went up to like a 9.5 versus a 9. Because he just, like, the Joker has no place in the storytelling. It just felt forced.
Yeah, and Joker's you do not force the Joker. The Joker is an event. The Joker is, when he's coming, he is a force for Batman. You don't just throw him in.
That's what it felt like.
I fully agree, Loretta.
Also, I want to add that there's just so many exciting villains to his rogue gallery. I guess I'll just start going into like, it's obvious they only put Joker in this because he makes money. And yeah, he's a cool villain. But bro, you got Hush that they were clearly influenced with in this. You have fucking Deathstroke, which was supposed to be the villain of the Ben Affleck one. You have the Court of Owls. You have Clayface. You have Harley Quinn for fucking crying out. Bro,
that won't ever happen.
They won't see a really good cinematic freeze, y'all. Just saying.
What?
Get Clayface out of here.
I really want Mr.
Whoa. Cinematic freeze.
Get Clayface out of here.
Clayface is cool, AJ.
Yeah, get Clayface out of here.
Clayface would be so cool. AJ, come on.
He's
get
interesting.
him out of here. We don't need him.
I think
we agree. I mean, the good money here is No Man's Land. We're gonna get a clear, some sort of combination of, I think, Victor Freeze and Out, right? That's a lock. That is a lock.
Yeah.
Hugo Strange would be awesome. Hugo Strange would work.
I think Hugo Strange is gonna be put for the Arkham series.
I like that a lot.
That makes sense. I do think that Matt Reeves and a Freeze duo would just be absolutely perfect. Like that, the tone of all those would be so perfect, man. That's just.
I like it.
Oh no, I feel like there's a lot to be desired on that aspect of this movie, like where they.
Did anybody think? Was anybody? Sorry, Ryan. Did anybody think like Court of Owls, like the Talon, could be one of like?
That's been a rumor.
When Riddler was saying like, what was the clue he gave about the something like? I was thinking Talon. Maybe the Riddler knew a lot more about the birth of Gotham and the history of Gotham than we give him credit for, and he was actually
that would actually be kind of cool.
Where he was not actually talking about Falcone, he was talking about the Court of Owls. That'd be really cool.
So
are we
like
going to the future now? Are we going to the future? Movie?
I don't know.
We're going back to the
Reeves
future, gang.
Talked about it. He
have a
liked the Court of Owls. He's thought about that plot line too about future movies. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of it, but like at least it's different. Anything other than the Joker for the next movie. That's really how I feel.
I want the Joker
So
for the next
good.
movie.
You know-
I do
you
have
know,
a theory for Court of Owls.
I don't want the
guys-
Joker next movie. That is third final installment. Like that's where you're gonna
More
go
like
with
Court
that.
of Owls is third final movie. Joker
No.
is fine being in the
Joker's
sequel.
gonna be final. I'm telling you, it's gonna be final.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking that.
Honestly.
Hey, by the way, though, I really
have
like
one
the
theory.
casting. I think Barry Keoghan's awesome.
So
Yeah.
good. I'm
No,
so
I-
excited.
Look
He just
good.
made me so. I
Have y'all
literally,
seen
when I
Villain
heard
Sacred
him,
Deer, come on, y'all.
yes. If you haven't, oh my god, watch it, please. It's so good.
Scary.
So good.
Oh, he's
So
freaking
good.
perfect. He's so
Okay.
good.
Fucking
Here's-
I like
here's
him
my
better
theory.
as this with like 2 minutes than Druid in freaking Eternals, but that's besides the point. I'm not gonna say that, but it's true.
So I gotta ask you guys, how confident do you feel about putting this ranking wise? Do you guys feel like you know where this would go in your overall ranking of the live action, or just any Batman film
Yeah.
if you've done all Batman films?
1,000%.
Are we doing it? I'm
You
nervous.
know what? I guess we just do it.
Haven't
I'm
done it
gonna
yet.
start off with Deebs because I feel like he's gonna be the most inspirational of all of us.
Let's do it.
All right, so number one is the Batman. It's the best movie. Like the Dark Knight is terrific, but it's a Joker movie and Batman movie. This was a Batman movie. The Batman is number one on my end. Dark Knight number two. Mask of the Phantasm is three. It has been years since a movie has understood, the pain and the tragedy of Batman like Mask of the Phantasm. That is my number three. And then we get to number four, and that is Batman Begins. And then my tied for five combined is The Dark Knight Returns. Those are my top five Batman films, but they're all like A tier, S tier films for me. Love it, love it, love it.
Okay, Loretto, how do you feel about ranking yours right now?
Hey, look, my most recent rewatch of The Dark Knight actually made me appreciate more how much I like Christian Bale as Batman. And I'm sorry, Amanda, I know you don't agree. Batfleck's my number two, but Bale is a really good Batman. He balances both sides, and I gotta disagree with Dibes. Heath Ledger steals the show because his performance is incredible, but it doesn't take away the fact that A, Batman loses the love of his life in Rachel, and B, he makes a sacrifice to become the villain that Gotham needs in order to raise the hero that Harvey Dent became to end corruption. And I think that at the very end of Dark Knight is so powerful, and I think that his journey in that film is actually a lot more underrated than people expect. They only fucking disregard it because Heath Ledger is so magnetic and so terrifying. But Batman is really good in that film. Developing the sonar to tap all the phones and catch the Joker and trap the Joker. Come on, y'all. Like, for me, Dark Knight's still number one. Batman Begins will be my number two. I'll put the Batman at number three, and that's where I'll leave it.
You guys want this version of Batman to be like literally year 5. You want all his rogue galleries to be like year 5. You want every single thing in this movie, period.
Wait,
in
time
the
out.
one movie. You want
Hold
it
on.
all.
No, look, Dive, I'm not saying this needed to be he didn't need to be year 5, but what I'm saying is, as a whole, The Dark Knight was a much more enjoyable experience for me, and that's where I'll leave it. Look,
It's the structure. I get it.
the detective work.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. Robert Pattinson's Batman is menacing. When he steps out of the shadows and fucking slams that thug, I was like, I felt it. I felt the crunch of his bones, but there's more to Batman than just being scary. And this film was just, it looked like...
Loretto, just stop talking. Just stop talking.
No, come on. I'm just talking about a complete story here, Dives.
That's the entire point of the Batman. It's the entire point.
Let's go to another ranking before we lose some friendships in here.
Hey, but look. Hey, Dives, see, look. You know what kills me? No, wait, time out. What kills me is like you're taking my negative thoughts as if I hated the film and I didn't. So look, don't take my negative criticism. It's just that there's parts of it that like I just didn't sit well with me, and at the end of the day, I really thought it was a good film. So the Batman is number 3 for me. It's still a 9 out of 10 rating for me. There's just some things it didn't sit well with me execution wise.
Wow, hot takes, but Deep's getting a mad at me for mine. That's all I'll say. But AJ, what about you? What would you rank your Batman movie?
Okay,
so far?
the Batman is number 1 for me. It
wow.
is. And then it's The Dark Knight, and then it's Batman Begins, and Batman, and then the other ones, Batman Robin, and the other trash. What was the other trash one again?
Batman
Forever.
Batman Rises.
That garbage.
Batman Rises too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that garbage as well. That
what is happening here?
Batman Rises.
Terrible, Bane. What was that? What was?
Amanda, what would you rank?
Y'all gonna die now.
Oh no.
I'll take the heat because I don't care.
I don't want to hear this. La la la.
La 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 la. Okay. I'm gonna put the Batman in number 1. I think that for a Batman film, it was really well done, and I really love the detective work. It's a film noir, and I thought that it really worked for the character. It was different, it was fresh, it was unique. Love the way he did Gotham. I feel like Matt Reeves fully understood Bruce is more than a playboy, and I really respect that. The second one is The Dark Knight, not because of Christian Bale. I'm sorry, Loretto. I'm really sorry because you gave a beautiful speech, but I disagree. Okay. But I think it is a Joker movie. I think the Joker completely overpowered him. I'm really sorry. Third, I put Batman Returns because of Michelle Pfeiffer, but literally alone, like she's absolutely. I hope I get points from Loretto because I put Batman Returns there. I really hope so. Yeah, good. Fourth is Batman Forever. Ha! No shocker there. I love it so much. Unapologetically, I love that freaking movie. Val Kilmer is a great Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
And then fifth is no surprise, Dibes. Okay, it's going to go to Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition. I love Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. I think Zack Snyder also got a different side of him, and I respect it. Very older, like Bat Dad type of situation. So yeah, that's my top 5.
Wait, is that a Batman? Is that a Batman movie?
It is a Batman movie to me.
Are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure
half it's a Batman movie.
It's half of Batman, but Batman's still
Is
there.
it a movie to begin with?
Hey,
who knows?
Don't turn it on me. You're supposed to be mad at the other two.
It was just a bad dream. At the end of
Don't
the
turn it on me.
Yeah. Zack Snyder had it in reverse. It should have been the nightmare scene was Batman versus Superman. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Damn.
You know. Ryan, it's your turn. Let's not forget you, sir. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna just start from number 6. Number 6, Batman Begins. Number 5, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Wow.
Number 4, The Batman. Not The Batman. I meant Batman. Sorry.
89?
Yeah, 89 with Keaton. Number 3, The Batman. Number 2,
right.
Batman Returns, and then The Dark Knight number 1.
I love the love of Batman Returns. I respect.
I don't know why I thought Ryan was gonna put Batman and Robin number 1. I don't know why I was thinking.
Nah, bro, I'm not that low. Because honestly, at the end of the day,
Batman
I know
Forever.
I'm usually the more pessimistic one out of the group here. I usually talk on more of the negatives, but I do like to wrap up like my final thoughts with positivity. Because you know what? It's easy as fuck to talk about the things we liked, okay? It's not so easy, clearly, to talk about the things we dislike because you get shit on a lot.
You're right. You're
Right.
right.
You literally bitched about technical issues for like probably
Hey,
20 minutes. You had more screen time of bitching in this movie than Gordon.
Gordon didn't bitch at all, though.
That's the
Hey, time out. Actually, it was pretty funny when he was like, "Did you have to hit me so hard?"
Like,
it was, and you know what? A lot of people are like, "This wasn't funny." Listen, I laughed. I like the dry humor.
Thumb drive.
Funny.
Thumb drive.
It was so funny.
That scene, I love that scene. Like, there's so many low key scenes that are terrific. The scene where Batman is looking at Catwoman, Selina, and like Selina thinks like maybe he's coming onto her, and he's like looking at the contact lens. That was so good.
I love that. That was so cute.
You're good.
I love it.
I want to start getting into final thoughts and our general grades of the film. I know AJ here doesn't like to grade films, so he'll give it like a recommend or like very recommend, some shit like that. But we'll start off with Deebs. What are your final thoughts, and like what would you grade this, my man?
Yeah, this is a straight 10 out of 10. I never give films 10 out of 10. This is the movie that the best Batman movie I've seen since Mask of the Phantasm, that truly understood Batman, the entire just concept of Batman understanding that I have to be more than, putting fear into criminals. I have to be more and, instilling hope to the people of Gotham was amazing. It really connected with me. The trauma background of Bruce really connected me. I work with trauma kids for a living. I've done that for over 10 years, and I definitely related to that big time. So I disagree with a lot of the Bruce Wayne. I get it. I'm in the minority here. I thought the casting top to bottom was unbelievable. The film score by Michael Giacchino was one of the best ever. I've been listening to it since pretty much Wednesday morning, since I've woken up from my IMAX viewing. Top to bottom, I love it. I really, really love it. I can't wait to see it again. Unfortunately, I've got a 2-year-old, and we balance so many different things. It's hard to get to the theater, especially for a 3-hour movie, because you get that guilt factor that like.
HBO Max next month.
I know. I'm waiting.
45 days. 45
He's gonna watch
days.
it every day.
For me, just I had so like we were all, I don't know if we were all in, but we were part of Geekly Goods' DC fandom event when they first revealed the trailer like 2+ years ago. I remember freaking out with everyone here. The fact that this movie had that concept and had so much promise and delivered it and nailed it out of the park. Thank you, Matt Reeves. Thank you. 10 out of 10.
And I'm sorry, Matt Reeves.
Whoa,
that's all I'm gonna
segue,
say,
man. That's terrible.
Loretto, what are your final thoughts, and what would you grade this movie?
I actually want to shout out Amanda, because I think she said it really good when the film felt refreshing, especially in comparison to like the Avengers fighting Thanos and Shang-Chi riding dragons. It was really refreshing to see Batman just be a gumshoe. And that was that's something that grabbed me immediately. And look, man, like, just because I didn't give it a 10 doesn't mean I didn't like this movie. Like, I liked where we got, okay? The first 40 minutes is fantastic. And then where we got with Batman becoming the symbol of hope, that's what I wanted to see. It's just that it could have got there faster, and we could have done with or without a few things that, in my opinion, just kind of bogged the story down. But look, at the end of the day, Craig Fraser did an amazing job with the cinematography, the camera within the rear view mirror shots.
Wow.
And that look, guys, I haven't even talked about this yet, but I love that corner shot of Bruce riding by with the motorcycle, and it looked kind of like Times Square, but it's like its own thing.
Yeah.
And it felt different. It felt like a different world. Like, that was incredible. And I think there's a lot of production value here that was immensely underappreciated for the way that I've been talking about this film. Like don't get me wrong, I don't hate this movie. There's a lot that I like about it. And at the end of the day, I think it was well acted. It was well put together. It just didn't quite stick the landing, but I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow. Holy
Shocking.
shit. Okay. Wow. You actually took me by surprise there. But you know what? What about you, AJ? How do you feel about this movie, and what do you think people should see it?
100%. I do believe people should see it. For me, my personal taste, I think everybody should see this at least 100 times. That way we get like the sequel to it. But if I'm going to take my judgment out of it, this is going to be a divisive type of movie. Look at us. We all have different opinions on this. Even though we did like it, there's going to be a lot of people that didn't like it. Says some critics out there, it's too brooding, basically. But overall, I did have a fun time with this movie. I agree with all you guys. The acting was fun. The relationships between all the characters was fun. Cinematography was great. Score was great. Sound design was great. Everything technically, I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
It was just overall amazing. So yeah, everybody should see this movie.
Yeah. What about you, Amanda?
Well, I gave it a 4 out of 5 on my letterbox, so that roughly translates to what, like an 8.5, 9 out of 10. And I think that like if after my first viewing, like I was just so happy walking out of there. I think this is one of the first movies where I felt like really speechless in a long time, just because you still have to let it set in after that 3 hours. And like I said, this is just such a different take on Batman, and I really respect Matt Reeves because this is technically ballsy. This is so ballsy what he did. The world building was fantastic. The production design to actually nail Gotham was great. It felt like old and decaying, and that's what it just felt like Gotham, and you're sucked in. And I said that in my review, where like Gotham literally swallows these people whole, and it's like that's what he did to the audience, and it was like completely immersive, and you're getting lost in this with Matt Reeves. And I'm just so excited to watch these characters grow with these phenomenal actors. I think everyone was perfectly cast. It was just aces. Like I said, editing, the structure of it, the script isn't perfect and it needs work and needs tightening up, but this needs to be seen whether you like Batman or not. I'm not a massive Batman fan, but this, holy shiznit, I fell in love with it. I really did.
There's a reason why.
And we also have,
compared to great movies. So yeah.
Yeah.
And also like consider like WB, you know, like think back to where, you know, the main issues were like studio meddling way too much. You know, forcing directors to kind of alter their vision. I give, you know, it's almost like WB kind of listened to all the shit and said, "Hey, Matt, this do you, baby, do you?" And I respect WB for finally like listening. So that's been a huge issue in the past.
Yeah, but everyone should watch it in IMAX, please and thank you, because
and like that I don't see a lot of IMAX movies, but that scene with the Batmobile will go probably hands down one of my favorite movie scenes I've ever seen ever. That my chair was literally shaking. It was
the turn of the camera, like they flipped it, like just everything was ridiculous. It was really well done.
I'm gonna counterpoint Amanda one last time.
One last time.
Better sound quality. It wasn't filmed in IMAX. It doesn't need to be that big. Dolby Cinema, baby.
Dolby is amazing too. I will agree with Lo on that. Dolby.
I saw it in both. So.
Oh, Ryan's special.
No, I definitely am.
Didn't like it.
But honestly, I'm probably not going to be special after seeing what Loretto gave this movie, because honestly, with the Batman, I went in with no expectations because I didn't know really what to expect. It felt like a much different approach than what the typical Batman or even superhero genre. I would say if we had to compare this to anything, it's the Logan of the DC films. It really guides them in a different path that needs to be seen. And it might not be an R-rated path like Logan might have been, but it's more of that meaner, darker, and realistic tone that I think Matt Reeves really perfectly captures with the way that he shows us and tells us who Gotham is as a character, because that's sort of the progression throughout the story. Is by the end he says that Gotham, rather than trying to scare it, try and work with its damage that's been done to it. All wounds might not be seen. While the physical wounds might heal, the emotional wounds don't. So I think that's really what it perfectly captures there. And while I might have been pessimistic, not everything was perfect to me in this movie. And you know what? That's okay. Nothing needs to be perfect. And when it is to that person, it's even better. And that's what the thing with movies, and specifically this one, that's so great. There's so much to love. But for me, there was also a few things that had me questioning it. I'm not saying that I hated some of the things they did, but I'm also not saying that I think it was in the best interest of its own story. I love Robert Pattinson as Batman, but still need to be convinced on his Bruce Wayne. I still also need to get more of that Selena Kyle and Batman relationship. I like what they gave us, but I felt like the relationship between him and Gordon really took over in this film.
Mhm.
But that's not a negative, because that's also something that I really loved about this movie that I think every other film hasn't exactly had 100%, even with the Nolan ones. You still got that vibe that they were close, but not to the extent that you get in this film. You kind of feel like they're on this friendly plane, but they don't, neither one of them really wants to acknowledge it because of how dirty and how dark and how gruel the city and the cops of Gotham really is. And it's really the balance of what you're trying to go for within your Batman film. And this is a Batman film. The title doesn't lie. It's the Batman. It's not Batman Dark Knight Rises. It's not Batman, but Bruce Wayne has to crawl out of a pit for 45 fucking minutes. This is the Batman.
The
Full
worst.
steam ahead.
I hate that title. I can't stand that one.
Now, I'm sorry, Deebs, but this movie's a 7.8 out of 10 for me.
Oh,
There's a lot to love, but there's a lot to be desired, from the structure to the editing. And this might have been the theater I was in the first time when I saw it in Dolby, but the audio dialogue, it improved in the second viewing, but the first time was like, it was hard to hear them. I don't know if it was me, but I'll leave it at that. 7.8. People do need to see this, not because it might not be the best Batman movie, but it's unique and original. And I feel like that's what we need, because people complain about comic book movies taking over everything, which in their own right is true, but it's really the originality that drives us forward. That's why we love Spider-Man No Way Home. We haven't seen a comic book film like that. It's not just that it's a comic book film, but it's a comic book film that tries to do something different. It might not always work, but fuck, it tried its best, and I give it every single brownie point for that. And I think that's why I'm curious to see what Matt Reeves makes in these next two films. There's some concerns going in, sure, but that's every other film. And I'm sitting here, I'm excited, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to see what he brings. I hope he does a little bit more originality with his villains. I hope we do see more villains that we haven't seen in the big picture sphere, or if we have, like with the Riddler, try to do a different take on them. But yeah, there's a lot to love, but there's also some desirables with this. Does anyone have like any last words before I start wrapping up?
Can I bring up an interesting thought that
Sure.
I want everyone's opinion. I like that this film felt more like a graphic novel than a comic book.
Also, the Arkham games.
Like,
the third
you know what I
act
mean? Like,
felt
comic
very
books feel
Arkham.
like directed
Yeah.
towards children, and I like that this felt like Watchmen or Sin City, or it felt like a
Yeah.
graphic novel, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, it felt
I
like it was
love that.
ripped right out of the comics. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't played the
Alright.
Telltale games, like, please go play them. They're just so
Literally
good.
any Batman
watch
game
them.
is fucking good.
So good. I love
Literally
them.
any version of Batman within the video game sphere is fucking great. Guys, go check it out. Also, starting tomorrow, we're going to start revealing more details about the final championship draft for the Suit Up Geeks draft. It's going to be fucking crazy. Stay tuned for that. Check out our Twitter at the Suit Up Geeks. Guys, don't forget to follow us on the Twitter account that I just mentioned, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the Suit Up Geeks for more in-depth reviews like this. And also, we are brought to you by the Music City Driving crew. We're partnered with them now. Go check them out. Our shows.
We
will
also
be
have an
over-
Instagram.
Yeah.
we have an Instagram.
Loretto, I'm getting to that, goddammit. There's a lot to promote. God damn it, Loretto. Fuck. Ruined my Steam. Nah, it's all good. But yeah, guys, we also have an Instagram that we launched about a month ago. 55 followers. We post new clips from the shows that you don't see on Twitter and some exclusive polls. So go check that out. We also tried doing something a little bit different on that. We tried posting our going into the movies and going outs of the movies, our thoughts and opinions. So go check those out. Man, guys, 2 hours into this, talking about the Batman, probably one of the most talked about comic book movies of the last 2 years up into its release. we finally spoke about it, regardless of how we all felt. It's great to talk about it, get all these different point of views, and yeah, it's great seeing what you guys think. And guys, don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button on the YouTube, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.